Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
See basically what happens when we post our job requisitions in external career site. At the same time, when we post an internal career site, we will check right. What are the openings have been in internal career site? We can just check through find jobs. See, by using the find jobs task you will get to know. You know what are the job requisitions are open, the details you will get. This tenant, it is different, but real time it will be like sequentially. You will get to know each other. Whether you know what are the job requisition, open that status will come actually. Basically, we use, this find jobs for external job posting. We can check all our internal job postings here by using this find jobs task. And I'm trying to, you are asking to real-time scenarios, right? I'm trying to gather those screenshots. Probably I will leave you not know. Maybe after 24th or 27th, probably I'll try to give because once we correlate all those things like TL job application, all those things, then if I give, then you will get to know and you will practice also. Probably. I will give you initial 5 and 67 scenarios like easy ones and little complicated ones. Also, I will try to show at least that you will get to know what happens in real time. What they expect, a little bit that I will give you on 25th or 27th something. Maybe last week of this month. Basically this find jobs. As I said, we use for internal. We will get to know what are the openings opened in internal career site. And we can filter, actually see here by using hiring manager. We can filter like I want America, Amelia Casius, then I can filter it up. These are the job openings for open for this hiring manager by using this filter option and we can use by skills. Business and list. We don't have anything for business and list. And we can use it management level as well. We'll see what all. Executive Vice President. There is no opens because nobody has created job recognition for this probably. We'll see for CEO. No, I don't think because you will get to know all those things. We can filter it actually, right? That is what my intention is all about. Just wanted to show this, probably the one which I explained to you. I make you some critical scenarios at the end moment, which I'll explain you how to put maybe 3 to 6 scenarios in real time. We go to, as I say, confidential job recognition. These are like for executive level headings. I would say maybe vice president or more than that level kind of job requisitions. These are some sensitive job requisitions, such as executive level replacements or required additional security to make them accessible to only a specific set of workdays. This is used for confidential, high and not tied to the position. Hey, I'll give some info. When we are creating job requisitions, we were creating the position right. Here, it will not ask for permission. Just I'll show you even in evergreen reputation also. But then I will not discuss that thing. We'll get this, all those things. In this tenant, it will not work properly because I checked all those configurations. I don't think it will work because due to security issues about, I see it may not ask for a position here. You see, just it will ask for a supervisor organization. That's it. Just wanted to show that. And the security demands limit. It will be like, who can view those confidential candidates and requisitions? These all the things. There will be a restriction over here and each and everybody cannot view this actually. That's what I mean here. And when you see usually what happens when we do this job requisitions, job postings in external career site, all those things. We'll get to know what are the openings are there. But in this confidential job requisitions, it will be like hidden on career site, only accessible to candidate with direct URL. Like I would say URL means maybe like recruiter can share this URL to particular candidate and inform them they can go and access this URL and they can apply for this job. It will be a restriction. That's what I mean. And I will show you the I'll show you that one. Domain security for functional areas. No need to remember each and everything. Just I want to show you, nobody is going to ask you, but you don't mind these all the things. Just for your information. I'm just giving the slides actually, but this I want to show how it is gonna do this. This is recruiting domain. Sorry, recruiting functional area, and we want to check the domain. See here confidential job. This domain I know actually provides access to confidential job recognition. If you want to include any security group over here, you can just go to edit permission. And you can do actually access over here to modify a few. Access, we can include there. See here there are recruiting agencies, there's Avengers, all these people have been involved, right? You see, top will get them. What are the security groups? Hello security groups. These are all the things you know. However, just wanted to show this. Once you access to particular security group, only those people will be able to see that, and however, we will include that security group in process. Security policy. Just wanted to show that. I want to correlate that. Actually. This confidential job requisitions, actually, it includes all the security groups, which are basically the recruiters. Like overall's confidential, and only these people will be able to access the job applications of this executive. I mean to say, not every recruiter or primary recruiter should be involved. The BP is also same like normal job recognition. That means whatever the business process we had designed for normal job recognition, the same business process will trigger over here. That is what I mean. And here very less security groups will be involved. As I said, they will not be posted. This here we include less people, and we can customize the job recognition BP by putting up condition rules also like that. Next, I will show you in the upcoming slides. And just wanted to give you more info in real time. I will tell you how it happens in my real time. Actually, in my real time, what happens? There will be a role called team manager. I mean talent acquisition manager of group of recruiters, which I am just telling. He will be the TA manager and primary recruiter will be assigned by this TA manager, usually for job acquisitions. And when it comes to executive recruiting, all VP level roles and confidential acquisitions will be there. And for evergreen certified recruiters, and all this is managed by divisions and can independently create evergreen recruiters. That means the evergreen certified recruiter can actually independently create the evergreen particular business in real time in our office. That is what I want to tell you. After that, the domain which I showed you. And interview question might be the here. What is the basic difference between confidential job requisition and normal job requisition in terms of position? Because when I was interviewed by a few of them, this question is basically there might be a chance that they may ask you. You can tell them. In normal job requisition, the position is always attached. Either job you used position management or job management, you have to attach a position. That is mandatory. And in confidential job requisition, we won't attach the position, as I have shown you just 5 minutes back. Both of them. Support is included in both of them. And these tasks lead to the beginning of same business process called job requisitions. Have you heard about rule-based business process definition? I have heard about it, but I don't know the exact meaning of it. This rule-based business process definition, I'll show you in the tenet. Once we're triggering any BP, by default, maybe hire BP or any BP, but maybe due to some reason we don't want default definition. See in tenet what happens if you see hire BP, you put BP, and if you check, there are a number of higher BPs, right? But in real time, there will be only one higher BP which will be present. I'm just telling example. Due to some reasons, but this default definition they don't want to trigger. Actually, we want some other definition to trigger for certain criteria. In such scenarios, the default definition itself will create a rule, and over there we can mention our own customized definition. Maybe you didn't hear this thing in the normal HCM, but for some we want default definition to trigger, but for some we want our customized BP to trigger. That time we can set up a rule-based business process definition. I'll show you first. AP job conditions. Let's take this BP. This is our normal job requisitions. I just wanted to tell you one more thing. I had created one organization called Skins. This for your information. You can check all the BPs whichever. Slowly, I designed everything sequentially. Once you go through the class, it's easy for you to understand. This name I have put. Just want to give you that thing. We can go to business process. And we can go to rule-based business process configuration. See, this is like. Anyway, it is going to get the default definition. But in few cases, client might say it should be a rule-based business process configuration based on particular rule. See here, one rule already has been set. Let's say confidential. Or we don't. Let's create sure that you can get them. In this tenant, there are few security issues also. That is the reason, you know exactly, I was unable to correlate here. But however, I'll explain the subject clearly. Confidential. I think the best job recognition and all those who could drill into the details and access to look at the work that you are doing will set this. And we'll put that rule as and we are just selecting job requisitions in the selection list. I tried to execute this as CM1. I tried to create confidential job requisition. Then I was able to get this option. For confidential, just I tried to get our CM. We are getting this option. This confidential job requisitions. Still, the logic is that once you click, But most of the times this will not be asked what I feel, but however I wanted to tell. Even though they make you. Then try to close the portion by themselves. But how are they try to do one or two security groups? They must include that time, which will be helpful, at least for. But basically, evergreen and normal job requisition was very, very important. The selection list. I'm going to select the job which I want. See here it's confidential and showing as an open. What is this always for? See. Job requisition acquisition. Usually what happens? Hemant and Shokantala if normal BP triggers. If the job requisition BP is triggering, it will go as usual process. It will trigger and it will go. But here we are setting rule-based business process definition. That means this BP should not trigger. Instead of this, in case for this job requisition, we are setting a rule and this job requisition BP should trigger. You understood this one? I mean to say, see, when we execute things normally, the job requisition will execute Hemant and Shokantala. It will be a little confusing, only which I'm telling. But, however, in this scenario, we are setting up the rule. That is what this rule-based business process configuration. As I said, see, this is like once again. I'll explain you when we trigger any business process by default. It will trigger normal business process only. But due to some reasons, client will tell you no, I don't want default definition to trigger. Higher will be default. One thing in that. But you go to high BP, set up one rule-based business process configuration that this high should not trigger for this confidential job requisition. That requisition should not trigger. Instead of this BP is going to trigger. We are going to. I'm just telling in this, like that it will happen in the real time. Vishnu, just because this is confidential or we have something on special request, that is when we use the rule-based business process configuration. Yes, correctly. We use, actually, if you don't want default definition, you want customers want to trigger, then in this default definition itself, they are going to put up the rule. That's what I mean. When we put up the rule, this BP will trigger, our natural BP will not trigger. Even you can trigger other ways also, like other BPs also, you can go and put up rule-based business process configuration. That is what I mean. I'll show you in the slides also. When we create a confidential, these are screenshots which are when you create a confidential job requisition business process. It will not ask for a position. As I said, same business process definition will be triggering. And when still you want to configure the workflow using rule-based business process definition, what happens? There will be a rule which is set up. And once you set up the rule, suppose, see the business process. This is sub stages of job application. Don't be confused. This I will call it maybe once I design job application sub stages, business process review, screening, assessment. Suppose if I want to send a candidate to ready for hire, then this BPs be trigger like change of contract, contingent worker, hired employee, convert to employee. For this particular security groups, it will trigger. When it comes to this rule, allow ready for hire job application is not if it is not for evergreen requisition. See, this is for evergreen requisition. If it is not evergreen requisition, then it will trigger change of BP for HR partner. See here change of, there is a security called manager. It will trigger. But in this case, it will trigger for a day or like that. It will be designed actually in the real time. It will be a bit confusing only. Don't be confused. You'll get through the process slowly. But however, this they might ask in a few situations. And they will give you which are the security groups, which has to be involved, and all those things. Any questions? Nothing. But see, you can do it as a normal business process as well by marking it as confidential. That is one way of doing it. The other way is to do it in rule-based business process configuration. And you know one thing, Shagun, the law seen here we are designing in the job applications of state. We go to offer state. Go to offer state. Under that we are putting it. If the job application is not for evergreen requisition. I mean, if yes, it is, if it is a job application forever given, then it should trigger for this BP. And it should go to this particular security groups. I mean, and when it comes to this, hello, ready for hire. Job application is not for everything. If it is not for everything, then it would trigger these BPs. But how are security groups will be different. See, but change your top one. It is manager, but change your jar partner. It will trigger like that. I mean this, it will be like that. Actually, the scenarios like it will be mentioned. That is the reason. What you're trying to say is if it is for a job requisition or an evergreen, the business process that are going to trigger are different to the one that we are creating in rule-based. I mean rule-based. Yes, absolutely. Rule-based business process are like, we can set up a rule at the same time. It will trigger a different BP, customize a BP, which we want to trigger. I don't want the default one to trigger. I want to do other BP to trigger. But that particular rule, then we can set up this and security groups also. If you want to include a few security groups, we can change over here. Like putting up the rule. When you are trying to create one rule based as business process, at that time you're going to create different business process for the sub stages as well. Right? Yes, of course. Because but see rule based there, it will trigger differently. But how are? Again, when we set up the rule for a candidate, because see, once a candidate go and apply the job requisition, he will default enter into the review stage. Right. Based upon the candidate performance, he'll come into them. Once candidate come into high offer, here we can set up the rule. We can test also see when we do. Will you show us an example? I think in the further classes, will you? Probably I will try to include this. But however, I'm just showing this for confidential job requisitions. I will try to show. But this don't worry, it will be like, just I want to show because few things. And then you which BP to trigger, for example, you leave this concept. If you come to the one which I shown you, the last which to trigger, we can put up a room and that BP will get and we can just ignore this like this. And we can add here. I'm just cancelling this. As if now don't be confused. It will be in the real time like that. Client will give us that thing. In real time for rule based, also the BPs are predefined already. If you just go in and give the rule, it automatically triggers the concerned business process. Correct. Correct. Because there will be. We can set up the rule over that. And if you want to create, we can create. But however, they'll give the correct info and based upon that, we can go and execute. Sometimes, interview might ask the question for you. Like they might ask you, have you created confidential job in that time? You can explain them. Yes, I have done it. What do you know? You can explain what is confidential job acquisition and which business process it will trigger. And like I will use the normal job, or he might ask, did you use normal job requisitions or you create your own? Yes, I have created the best business process definition and the customer B. P for confidential job acquisition. Like that you can tell actually. This will place only executive level B, Ps and all. Mostly they'll be taking care of this by their recruiters only because in our end, as I said, they know very well both day. This night is critical for us actually. They know everything. I said, see, the good thing is, the bad thing is critical. Sometimes we'll get to know, like when you work for multiple companies, you'll get to know if every client might not be the same. But however, once client knows then they have to be a little more cautious. And we have to do, that is what my experience. I learned. I don't want to go into evergreen requisition because I don't want you to be confused and everything. Let us go concept wise. If it is, maybe we can finish in 25 to 26 sessions only. No need to worry. But how will I go to slow, little concept wise that I check the security levels also for this? There is some problem here you can create. But how are those tasks may not execute? Just I want to show some screenshots. That is the reason I have shown you actually. You can get to a question. When you say creating a confidential job requisition, you set some rules, saying that these are the kind of rules. What you said, if it is a confidential job requisition. But along with that rules what you said, I think it is job requisition in terms of the posting site. I think this would still be visible for all the population, right? No. This will never be visible. I tell you the security group. I showed you one security, right? Confidential job requisitions. Some examples of this requisition you said is like a leadership kind of a role, something like that. And I get it like, let's say if they're trying to hire for a managing director role and the requisition is listed as the confidential requisition. How will the candidate apply for this if it is not? It will not be posted. But that once we create that job requisition, there will be in real time one URL will be created. The particular recruiter will be there. Maybe I can relate it a little bit. Not full-fledgedly. That is the problem with that tenant. This is the domain human. Like we can give access to particular security group that they know what happens. It will be visible for them only. And that visibility also, that recruiter not on everybody. Again, there will be restriction for that recruiter. Only those people can see and they will send a year. Sometimes they'll send the URL to the candidate and they'll make them to apply. 100% I can say it won't be visible in external career side, internal career side, anywhere. You can't see that. That is, this kind of hiring takes place. And this page, what you're showing us now, this is the security level kind of page under the requisition, is it? Absolutely. Just a moment. It's for recruiting functional area. This is C. When we go to H, CM, what happens in domain security policies for functional area? We give staffing right when it is HCMM. Here what happens? You have to give recruiting. Under that there are a lot of domains. In these domains, you can easily check which domain, confidential job regulations, a lot of things that even prospects of that candidate pools are there. You see, job postings are there. No, under this vision, like let's say, for example, under this recruiting topic, you're trying to classify this like these are the security rules. But how do we see what are the security groups under a job requisition, like when a recruiter is trying to create a requisition? If at all, I mean, either a recruiter or a recruiting consultant, he or she is trying to create a job requisition and they want to set this kind of rules like how you set now. How do we see at a requisition level? Can you show that to us? But if you have plans of showing that in the upcoming slides, I think we can wait for that. No, I'm just trying to show at least the security groups who are. Because what happens for job requisitions and all that particular domain, they even you want to do, create job requisition task. It will not work for each and everybody. For example, here also in the tenant, everybody may not be having that task to execute, especially when we talk about this confidential job requisition. It will not. That task also will not work for each and every recruiter, only that specific recruiter. I mean here, it will be restricted. But normal job requisition, it won't be restricted. We can post them an external career site, internal career site, checking the domain. And when you say it will be accessible only by a specific recruiter, would we need to have that recruiter name listed here? Or is it some common rule for that recruiter? No, actually, there will be security group which will be created. If you include that in that wall will be included. That will be done from like that. Fine? Go. This confidential job requisition, I don't think. They might queue actually. But evergreen and normal job requisitions. I'm just checking. I have a question. If the confidential job requisition is not posted on the external or internal site, how would the applicants apply? Well, as I said, it won't be posted on the confidential job requisition. Only that, once we create that job requisition, one URL will be created. Here it is not possible to show because that is where I've taken the slides and I've shown. By using that URL, let's say I am a recruiter. I'll send that URL link to a particular XYZ person. I'll call him and I'll make him to apply. Once you apply. And again, what are the stages you will go? Those will be restricted. The recruiter has to source particularly and send this URL. It will be very specific to that particular person. Very, very specific in that executive level. That is what job requisition. I'm just checking. Job requisition workspace is there. But again, actually it should come. Maybe once you find it, you can let us know. Maybe I can move on with the... Maybe I'll try to. It is not done 100%, I'm sure. But I'm unable to. That is what I don't want to take on going into. I ever get recognition? This concept we will do tomorrow because this concept I'll explain a little more. But there is a difference between normal job recognition and everything. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.